I started doing music when I was about 14, and it got serious actually when I transferred to DePaul, and I found myself, with like not enough time to do both at some point. I was doing, 30 to 40 hours of college and then trying to do shows and do shows on weekends on top of that, and at some point had to drop out and pursue the music. I was happier when I was doing music, but I, at the same time, did feel I think I always had this kind of underlying depression that happened in high school and then happened again in college, in these periods where I wasn't sure what I was doing. And in like high school and in college, I would kind of express it as these, sometimes I would have these moments of clarity where for no reason, and I can remember specific moments like walking under these train tracks in Chicago where for no reason whatsoever I would just feel like everything was going to be okay, and I would, kind of feel this like, breath in my chest, and I felt okay, and these moments of unhappiness were kind of the exact opposite of it, where I was, sure that nothing was going to turn out okay, and then as we moved into the band and, we put out this indie record and then we're moving to a major, that was the point where the depression became, I would kind of only navigate between being so anxious with like this generalized anxiety where I couldn't get on airplanes and I didn't even want to leave the house, and this depression where I felt like nothing I did mattered, and it felt paralyzing, I think, at that time. Like it was to the point where I felt like immobilized by it. The darkest moment was we had just finished recording our major label record, and 2 days later we were going to go to Europe, and I felt completely lost and out of control. And at that point I'd seen some doctors, and they'd kind of like were Hollywood doctors, so they gave me, like a cocktail, but I kind of was like the drugstore cowboy and kind of took the cocktail the way I wanted to take it. And so I got in my car and I went, and I remember I was listening to Jeff Buckley doing Leonard Cohen's Hum Hallelujah, and sat there and took a bunch of Ativan and in a Best Buy parking lot, and I called up my manager because I, at that point was completely out of my head with Ativan, and I was talking to him and I was slurring my words, and so he called my mom, and my mom called me, and she came and got me, and we went to the hospital, and then I came home, and we realized that that we needed to do more than just kind of keep your head above water. Like, it's not really just about keeping your head above water. It's about, feeling all right and feeling safe in your own skin. It's not just about, like, keep your head above water, barely keep going, I think I had a hard time discussing it with people. I had a hard time discussing it with my parents because in the way that I feel like they would kind of always, like, be like, oh, you're just having a bad day, or, like, they didn't really want to admit that their son had a problem, and my parents at one point got separated but got back together, and when they did that, I went and I saw a therapist, and the problem with going to a therapist, I think, is if you're not going to be open or honest with them and you're going to kind of tell them your own stories and your lies, it doesn't really matter. So it didn't help. Talk therapy didn't help for me at that time at all. And my band, I just didn't want to let down, so I didn't ever really talk to them. And the problem with the love life was, like, that was always such an extreme. It was so up and down that it would only add to whichever side I was at, whether I was feeling down or whether I was feeling up. It was... So I felt like I didn't actually have anybody to talk to at that point. I guess, one of the biggest things for me was being honest with everybody about it, and being honest with both my band and the fans of our band and everyone, and let them know, like, there's going to be times when we're going to have to slow down so I can just make sure that, like, everything's intact, kind of. And that was, like, the first step. And then the second step was finding somebody that I could talk to, but that I was going to be honest with, and that not necessarily that they had all the answers for me, but like that I could get it all out to them, and then like together we could kind of help piece things together, you know. And I think that that was like one of the biggest things was actually being honest with a therapist. And so I found like that talk therapy with this guy has been the best thing that I've had outside of the outlet of actually writing. Like I love writing and being able to write. Yeah, write and then have people actually react to it. You know, like when someone comes up to me and says like your band saved my life, and like I'm thinking in my head like in a weird way like my band saved my life too. You know, so it is very therapeutic and it feels really good, and it's cool that it's like lucrative and that, you know, we get to make cool videos and do all this cool stuff, but like really the greatest thing about it is that it's therapeutic, and like for that like hour on stage it's like so cathartic because you can emote the same feelings to those words every single time.